Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us today on PoliWine, where we like to take a deep dive into stories pulled from the media and have a fun time while breaking it down. I'm Jillian, and let's get into it. Now, let's move on to some news because, man, the news is coming in like a rapid fire. Over in the Middle East, we have been watching this simmering pot for some time, and well, the simmer has blown over into a full boil, and here we are. The conflict has expanded and it is on. Now we just kind of have to see where it goes. How long could this conflict go on now that others have been pulled into it? How escalatory can it get? And will other countries join in on this battle? This is what we're watching. Nerve-wracking times for sure, but we are all thinking about you out there, and it's hard to watch. Moving over into some other news, let's bring it back to the US and let's work our way over to Minnesota. Our condolences go to you. In Minnesota, two lawmakers were gunned down savagely in their home in the Minneapolis area. And a short distance away from that, a senator and his spouse was shot in their home. And it is already being declared an act of political violence. But I mean, this has just gone too far when we are attacking people that are just doing their job as a public servant. So, Minnesota, our hearts go out to you. Our sympathies go to the family, the friends, and just everyone of the state. I mean, this is scary times. It really is. It's scary times. Other things, let's go to what we had this weekend. If we go over to Washington, D.C., well, we had the 250th anniversary of the Army. We had the military parade. 6,700 soldiers marched down the streets of our nation's capital. And what did you think? What are your thoughts? Well, whatever you think, if we should have had the parade, if we shouldn't have had the parade, well, it was happening. So let's support our troops, our soldiers. Well, honestly, if you want my opinion, a parade's always nice. As somebody who grew up with many people in the military in my family, I kind of like a military parade. I like it. I want to cheer them on. Those who risk their lives and sacrifice so much for our freedoms and our democracy, I will cheer you on wherever you want. However, for an estimated $40 to $45 million, I think that money could have been used in a better way. I think the best way to honor our soldiers, honestly, is to pay them properly, give them good health care, and ensure that their security in their retirement when they leave the military. They gave us so much while they were on duty. So maybe instead of making them march down the parade in full gear in humid, hot weather, and it was so humid, maybe that could have been a thought. It's active duty members. They are so busy and they have such limited time with their family. Pulling them away from their family for a parade, although it's nice, if you would have asked them, maybe they would have enjoyed a little time from home. But whatever. We had the parade and it was nice. In my personal opinion, as somebody many years ago dabbled into a little bit of catering and event planning and all that stuff, I did a little bit of work in that. And all I kept thinking is like, who planned this? Like, it just seemed so last minute and kind of shoddy. And there were too many breaks in the parade. Like, you got to have continuity. There's got to be a flow. I mean, it was fine. It was just it felt very disjointed, a little blase-faire. Give me some concerts, give me some jazz. The fireworks were nice. Could have done a lot more. I mean, I figured if we're going to spend that much money, we could have been we could have had a little bit more hoopla behind it. There could have been more colors, more brightness. I understand. The weather did not cooperate. And unfortunately, you can't control that. But we worked around it. The parade started about a half hour earlier just to avoid any rain or any other bad weather. So it went off. It was nice. I think it could have been better. It could have been smoother. It just seemed like they threw it together at the last minute. So something on such a grand scale just seemed like it should have been a little bit more organized or a little bit more grand. I don't know if the weather had a lot to do with it, but maybe not the large scale crowds that the administration was hoping for. All in all, it was fine, but congratulations to our men and women. Thank you for your service. We are honored that we have you. But not only do we have that, that was also Trump's 79th birthday. So kind of went hand in hand. Trump did speak, shortest speech that I can remember Trump's, and I think it's probably one of the shortest speech he's ever given. It's 10 minutes. He stayed right to the script. He gave respect and honor to our troops, and that's what it was all about. So very nice. But if we talk about what happened on Saturday, it's hard not to talk about what we would see pretty much split screen on every news outlet. And that was one side of the screen. We saw the parade. But on the other screen was the protest, the No Kings protest that was happening in about 2,000 cities. And for the most part, it was pretty peaceful. That's what they were hoping for, is to keep it peaceful. We did have a few pockets of a little bit of outbreak and a bit of lawlessness, but that was met with force. And all in all, I think the turnout was pretty huge there for those protests. But it was just weird to see the split screen, because one moment you're trying to honor troops, and then you see the complete opposite, and then you see the troops out in LA. So it's just quite the paradox there, was it not? So it was an interesting sight. Crazy weekend. It's like, kudos to the news anchors this weekend that had the weekend duty, because you are working overtime. This one anchor, and I want to say, I think it was for CNN, he was just like, so much to get to, so much to get to. We have the conflict in the Middle East. We have Minnesota. We have protests in 2,000 cities. We're going to get to LA. And then we have the parade and the birthday. And he was just all over the place. And that's how every news anchor was this weekend. So a tip of the hat to all you guys. You were, men and women, you are working overtime this weekend, because it was just one major news story after another. So kudos to all of you. It was a very, very busy weekend. Now, let's work our way over into the major trials that are happening right now. And we're going to start off with Diddy today. Well, we had a lot of testimony last week. The defense actually tried to get a mistrial. That was denied. But out of everything that has been going on in the trial, and it's madness. Amongst all of that, guess what? Kanye shows up. Yeah, Kanye. Because, you know, the shining image lately that Kanye's has, I'm not sure if that's the best optics that the defense wanted for Diddy, having Kanye show up. Man brings a little bit of conflict, but he showed up. He said he was there to support his friend. And reportedly Diddy was happy that he showed up. He was not allowed in the courtroom from what I have read. But he was there in support. Again, I don't know how I feel about the optics on that one, but hey, you know, Kanye showing up. He didn't have a lot of people show up for him, so I'm sure he was happy somebody. But again, did he? I mean, Kanye? Okay. But there you go. It just keeps getting crazier in this trial. Now, let's work our way over to Massachusetts, to the Karen Reed retrial. Oh my God. Whoa. So, the defense rested its case. We had the closing arguments. Oh, yes. The closing arguments. And were they good? They were magnificent. Okay. So let's start with the defense. They were first with closing arguments. Well, Mr. Alan Jackson. And I have to tell you, every time I say his name, I always think of the song, I'm sorry, Miss Jackson. I don't know what it is. It always pops in my head. So pardon me there. But Mr. Alan Jackson, wow. That closing argument, magnificent. It really was. It had everything that you would see in a Hollywood thriller. You did. You had the drama. You had the emotion. He hit all the hard bullet points to really, really bring all the elements together to see doubt, right? Out of all the points. I loved how he mentioned in the closing argument, the silent witness, the science, brilliant, utterly brilliant. So he would talk about the silent witness science, the data, and because that's what the prosecution and opening statement says. We're going to present you all the data, the science, to prove beyond a reasonable doubt why the state thinks Karen Reed is guilty. Well, the defense has to prove just doubt. And the defense really presented all of the theories of what could have happened to this police officer that died, but they still feel that she's innocent. And she still states her innocence, declares her innocence, and there's many theories. Could it have been the dog bite from the scratches and puncture wounds in the arms? When you look at the injuries, possibly, because if you can't say that those injuries were from the taillight, where'd they come from? So what about the individuals in the house? Could there have been a fight that broke out and he fell backwards and hit his head? Could that have been the injury that knocked him unconscious? Could it have been? Because there was kind of this weird love affair. Could that have been it? So they were presenting video footage from the bar of interactions with other people that were there, that were in the house on the property where this man was found. There were several theories that that were presented through this trial, but they came back and really hammered it in. Was it well, let me just say, very excellent choice selected words from Mr. Jackson. Obvious dog bite, which he said into one time. Obvious dog bite. Kept repeating the phrases, no collision. There was no collision. What about the fights? What about the text messages amongst the police? What about the head investigator for that police department that was fired? This is what they said. Fired for misconduct on that case. Okay. He's not here. We've heard his text messages read out loud. We saw that. What about these timelights? What about the tampered video in the Sully port? All these things he kept hitting on. Remember this. Remember that. If you cannot answer how this happened 100%, it's got to be doubt. So, excellent, amazing closing. Prosecution? Yeah, it was good. It was good. It was solid. They stuck to their point of view, their theory of what happened. But Mr. Brennan doesn't have quite the pizzazz and the flair that Alan Jackson does. Now, let me just state the entire defense team was excellent, from the local attorney to the female to Alessi. Is that the other guy that he did a lot? He was very good too. I hope I got his name right. Pardon me if I don't. They were all excellent. Karen Reed, you got an excellent team. But Mr. Alan Jackson, that is an LA attorney. I don't know if he had a little bit of theater in his background, a little bit of acting classes, but I was captivated. Both sides were given an hour and 15 minutes for closing arguments. And I listened so closely. I hung on to every word of the defense's closing statements. I thought it was just incredible. Incredible. That's how you do it, future attorneys and attorneys of now. That is how you do it. That was Hollywood. I kept thinking when he was speaking, I'm like, I kept getting lost in it. It's like, well, in the moment, is this real or am I watching a movie? That's how good it was. Now, we are on verdict watch. What do you think? Do you think it's going to be a hung jury again, a mistrial, or not guilty or guilty? It is a heavy burden that the state has to prove. The defense is right. What happens if she is found not guilty and her attorneys walk out of there, free, and they're like, but there's still a man that died. So I'm sure that they would say, we still want justice for John O'Keefe. And now they have to reopen that case again. And potentially a new trial. Is it over? I don't know. Let's see where that goes. But I'm going to tell you, I'm going to be watching that verdict watch through. So, verdict watch on the retrial. So let's get into a few other things like some TV. So I have just recently starting Your Friends and Neighbors on Apple TV. Stars John Hamm, Olivia Munn, Amanda Peet, to name a few. Great cast. And I didn't know if I'd actually like it, and I'm pleasantly surprised I am. I gotta tell you, John Hamm, God, he can really take on the role of quite the asshole. Now, is he constantly around his ex and her boyfriend, who was once his best friend, and they had an affair, and that's how they divorced? Yeah, he has a good reason to kind of be an ass. But I really like him and how he's struggling to kind of to keep up with the Joneses, right? Because that's the whole theme song. So he's struggling to kind of maintain his image, maintain that lifestyle, and kind of enters the world of crime. I like it, but I kind of like Olivia Munn's character the best. I think she's great. She's a mess, and I love the women in the show. I think they're catty, but I kind of like how when he's stealing stuff, they actually give a description of it, kind of like a spy movie, and I think that's kind of a nice effect. It's kind of cool, so I really enjoyed that. So, Your Friends and Neighbors, Apple TV Plus, enjoy. Now, I want to work our way over to Bravo, because there's out with the old, in with the new. Summer House is over, and what takes its place? Season 7 of The Real Housewives of Miami. The girls are back. First of all, why is Adriana not in the full cast? Has she been demoted to a friend of? What happened? Why? Maybe it's better. But she's always got all the insight and all the scoop on all the other women. So I don't know why she would demote it. I know it got a little harsh and awkward last year with her. And even Julie was like, I don't kind of like this side because you're really doubling down. But Adriana is kind of always right. And she does tend to have the scoop on most of them. So Adriana, here we are. Kiki, why is Kiki not a full cast member yet? Kiki should be. I love Kiki, a woman that can show up to a modeling shoot with a whopper. That's my girl. But if she still remains a friend of, it is literally just the perfect amount. She's amazing. And can I just say, Kiki is my favorite person on Miami. She's the best friend of, and I love her. If you ever have a spinoff, Kiki should be on it. And why isn't she in Hotel? Kiki, Love Hotel, season 2. There you go. Andy Cohen, are you listening? We need Kiki because she's the best. She's the best. So let's get into Miami. There's a lot to get into. We immediately get right in. Alexis and Todd. You see their whirlwind romance. It's on fire, it's fast, it's furious. They tie the knot, they're married, boom, and then all the clips from the news and the newspaper and social media, the screenshots of boom, Todd's filed for divorce. So they get right into the show, and Alexis crying with Marisol and Julia. Now they're all best buddies. You know, Julia's worked her way right in there, and it sounds terrible. You know, she was saying, look, we were on a date. You know, sometimes things aren't always the best, but, you know, we went on for a date night. We had a great time. We went back. We had intimate time. And next thing you know, he's gone. And the next day, I can't get a hold of him. And he moved everything out in front of my son, Frankie. Don't you mess with Frankie. I love Frankie. Don't mess with Frankie. And I think everybody probably feels that way. He's just adorable. And come to find out that a month before, Todd got an apartment, he got keys, and him and his daughter were slowly moving items out of the apartment and putting in a new place. And then one day, boom, went in and took the rest. And Alexis, like, they even took the shampoo out of the shower. I had nothing. She's like, and they did it all in front of Frankie. Come home, everything's gone. And Frankie's like, Mom, they're gone, and so's everything. And now, and poor Alexis, she's like, I can't believe it. This is the third time, my third divorce, and all this stuff. And she's crying. She's like, I feel bad. I put my kids through this. He wasn't just, because Julia asked one thing, because Julia just looked shell-shocked. Totally shell-shocked when Alexis broke the news. And she said, well, was he good to your boys? Was he good to, you know, Frankie and Peter? And she's like, no. And I feel terrible because I jeopardized my relationship with them for him. And then, come to find out, then he filed for the divorce, right? Well, that was good news. Then, this is what I'm about to say, is then they get back together. So you see, like, a next scene, like Marisol and Alexis are getting together. And she was like, you know, it's been a few months, Alexis. So, you know, the last time I saw you, you were heartbroken. You were crying on your girlfriends about Todd just up and leaving you. And I find out on social media that you are traveling again, you're dating again, and what's that? And nobody can give a deer in the headlights like Alexis. Like, it's long and it's frozen for a while. And she's like, no, well, it's true. And then she's just trying this whole episode, the rest of the episode, telling everybody, because they're like, how are you doing? So are you single now? And she's like, no, I'm not single until your heart is single. And everyone's like, okay. And we just had a long conversation. You're like, I'm done. He's done. He's out. He's over. He left me. I can't believe it. And now you're like, I love these men so much. And I just can't. And she was saying, you know, we don't even talk about the divorce because, you know, I just love him and I want to be with him in the moment. And I'm afraid if I bring up the divorce, it's going to rock the boat and it's going to cause a fight and then it's all going to blow up. That's a pretty shitty place to be in, Alexis. You're giving him all the power in this situation and he's got the upper hand. And I feel for you. Alexis, this is your third marriage and you have been through stuff. Husband that was a drug dealer, got busted, went to jail, husband number one. Then you had Herman, seemed to be a nice guy, took care of you, but also had his gay lover that he had for many years too. So he had like a little, he had a, he had an alternative life on the side. That's okay. Now, and now you've got Todd that just ups and leaves you in the secret in the middle of the night or middle of the day, actually. But I mean, that man had a plan and was working on it for a while. So Alexis, like, how did you not see this coming? Adriana saw this coming. She was saying stuff last year. And of course, because she is so catty, Adriana, when Alexis was telling everybody she's breaking up and it's over, she didn't see it. You just see this like taking the champagne. It explains a lot. It explains a lot. It does. And she was right. And she kept saying, out of all the things that I've said and I was catty about, I didn't really want to be right about this one, but I was right. And she was right. Ding. I like Adriana. Yeah, she gets a little nasty sometimes, but I kind of like her. There's a lot nastier we've seen on The Housewives. But it's sad to see her and Julia kind of drift apart. I could see it last season happening a little bit. It did get a little dirty. The gloves came off and it did get a little dirty with Adriana and some of the other girls at the end of the season. So I could see why Julia wanted to take a step back. And now Julia and Martina have got 2 baby boys. Congratulations to you. You two are adorable. And I kind of love watching Martina Navratilova, who is a legend athlete, who is just stuck in the corner in like these house parties that they have where she's just like, oh my God, I have dealt with some of the biggest dicks in the sports world. And then I have to do but I would rather deal with that than this shit with the Housewives. Yes. And I feel for her because she's always like in the background, like, oh my God, get me out of here. Like, where's the escape hatch? Where's the eject button? Get me, Calgon, take me away. That's what I'm getting from Martina Navratilova. And then, can anyone say how great the film guy, the crew that was filming Marisol's husband, who was just sitting on the couch with his phone, just kind of taking it all in, like not really impressed, just kind of being a supportive spouse. But just his facial expressions watching Adriana and her French guy, the mucky, watching them make out the whole time, you just see him like looking down his phone, like just kind of look up like it's like I'm getting a show over here. Like, and can I just say something? How the camera guy kept shooting to the marquee guy. His look, like, I don't know. His look kind of reminded me, his eyes. I don't know. Like maybe it was the angle. Maybe it was just the shot that they kept showing, just the angle he was looking. But he gave me that look with the eyes. Like, have you seen those Siamese cats where the eyes are a little too crossed and it looks like it's looking at the nose? He was just kept kind of giving that Siamese cross-eyed look the whole time. I'm like, and then Adriana kept saying, he's a marquis. I'm like, okay, great. He's a marquis, but he's got Siamese cross eyes. And she just kept making out with him the whole time. But Marisol's husband and everybody else, like, are they going to have sex right here in front of all of us? Like, they're just watching, like, should we turn our heads? Do we look away? Do we stare? Like, what do we do? I thought that was really funny. But a little bit of a try hard. But I am happy to see the girls back. Larsa and Lisa falling out over Marcus. Please now. That guy is not worth losing a friendship over, because those two have been friends for a while, and it is sad to see that end. And Larsa said that she even, testified under oath for Lisa with the whole divorce thing with Lenny. So, yeah, Lisa, it has come up many times before that you can be a little self-absorbed, and it really was coming out this episode. Look, I am not Team Larsa, but I kind of felt a little bad for Larsa this past episode. So go figure. The wind must be shifting in a different direction. I don't know what's happening if I'm sticking up for Larsa. And then I'm going to even stick up for Marisol on this one. And the crew had asked, so what do you think about Alexis getting back with Todd? She's like, not good. She doesn't say much against Alexis, and it really wasn't anything negative, but she was just like, yeah, not good, because this is not going to go well. If Todd's going to do that once, and even Larsa said this to you, like, if he's going to do that to you once, don't you feel like he could do this to you again? And Alexis respond like, yeah, baby, that's life. And I'm like, no, Alexis. No, that is not the response you want. No, like, no, Alexis, you are too long in the tooth to do this again. But anyway, that is why we love Miami. There's no rhyme, there's no reason, but we get crazy. We get great looks with a lot of bright colors, and I love it. So Miami, thank you for a great kickoff, season 7, episode 1. Gertie, I feel for you, girl. This might be a tough season for you. You are feeling yourself. You are strong. You are in recovery and remission. Congratulations to you and your family. You have all gone through it, but girl, this is going to be a tough season. They're coming for you. They're coming for you. So brace yourself, which is not right. It is not fair. And I hope your husband is okay with it, because he's a sweetie pea. But they're coming for you, girl. Get ready. And I think she is. That girl has just fought cancer. These girls are nothing. Get them, Gertie. Get them. So that is it for today. Thank you so much for joining us on PoliWine. Please follow us on Instagram at PoliWine Time. And please listen and follow PoliWine wherever you get your podcast. Thanks so much and have a great day. Bye.